Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Thursday, June 11th, and I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am excited today because not only do we have my partner in crime, Mr. Andrew Hansen, we have a special guest, and he is the winner of our DFS Coach Talk Challenge 4, and that is Mr. Patrick Welsh. How are you today, Patrick?
I'm doing good, Coach. Thanks for having me on.
It is great to have you, and fantastic come from behind victory there. I know our man Leighton Wilson was devastated. I think there were actual tears maybe, but if for non-members that didn't see the contest in our Discord, Leighton actually had a 4-point lead over Patrick, and Patrick was able to garner second in the very last day to get 5 points and pass him by 1. So by the thinnest of margins, Patrick won not only a free month membership, but some fantastic coach merch. I think, what was yours? You got shorts and didn't you a hat? What all did you get? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was a hat, fleece,
Oh,
shorts.
fleece. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cool. And then, of course, the guest appearance on the show today, and it's KBO. I was so fired up that you wanted to jump on with KBO because, there are times, honestly, Patrick, and Andrew knows I always whine about this, is, I'm up at 4 a.m. getting those lineups tweaked in there, and I don't see anybody. And I'm like, I hope people are looking at this and our members are making changes. But I think everybody's drowsy and just jumps in there to see him and doesn't comment or anything. But hey, that's what we do. We will never have a contest go by the wayside without us being in Discord 30 minutes before every lock. So fantastic to have you. Let's get some of the pleasantries out of the way, and then we'll get rocking and rolling on KBO because we'll want to get this up there so everybody can take a listen before they have to build their lineups. The good thing about KBO tonight, by the way, is all the games are that 5:30 a.m. Eastern time, so we don't have to sweat any of those early game locks. But our podcast today is brought to you by our two partners and sponsors. First of all, we announced earlier this week, we have a wonderful partnership set up with mybookie.ag. And you now can go to mybookie.ag through DFS Coach Talk's website and sign up and receive 50% on your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. So there's definitely some good free bucks there to throw out there if you're playing PGA or KBO. They have all the action. MyBookie is one of the best in the business. They also have a cool casino in there for anybody that wants to play a little blackjack or anything like that. Also, our other sponsor, TVG, that is where the world watches and wagers on horse racing. You can also join TVG through DFS Coach Talk and get an exclusive offer. They don't offer it anywhere else, but through DFS Coach Talk and our members, you get a risk-free $300 bet. Is that a deal or what, Patrick? I mean, I know I get amazed when I do that. So you could actually go on there, make your deposit, $300 on whomever. If he loses, you get your money right back. If he wins, it's boxcars,
That's great. Yeah, I might as well just go max it out and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing
that sounds happens, like a GPP player right there. I love that.
The worst thing that happens is you lose it. You just can take your money back out. No harm, no foul. So anyway, I want to throw that out there. We love really the relationship that we're building with both of them. We're doing a lot of cross promotional and fun things, and we're going to have a ton of giveaways. Throughout. We're going to be giving tickets and entries, and there's going to be additional tests for a lot of merch and all kinds of things. So we're just getting rocking and rolling. I mean, we're still, we did get a day, though. Did you see that? Instead of July 31st for the NBA, they moved it to July 30th. Did you guys see that?
No, I hadn't seen that. I've been so locked in on KBO and PGA this week.
I know. I know. I was ecstatic because we went the other day, we counted from 52, and now we get to jump 2 days. So 50 days from now, we will be in the midst of an awesome NBA like 3 months because they're going to be playing multiple games a day on multiple courts there at Disney. And it's going to be a DFS NBA just, you know, like you're dreaming. And, you know, it's going to be fantastic. So very excited about that. They'll be getting started very soon. And, you know, PGA kicked off today. I don't know, Patrick, you probably didn't catch the last pod because I'm not sure. Do you play any PGA?
I do, yeah.
Do you?
I got
Okay.
some lineups in for today.
Good. Did you get into Millie Maker?
I did not.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just some smaller stuff to get started.
That's good. I'm so happy with my lineup. I just got to touch on this real quickly. You guys could tell me how your teams are doing so far. But after day one, my main lineup, I don't have anybody over par. So, you know, for me, my big sweat the first 2 days is I want to get my guys through without, you know, missing the cut. So I was ecstatic to get that. But the biggest thing of all, and Patrick, if you didn't catch our PGA show on Wednesday, Andrew and I have a side bet of all side bets.
I've already forgotten it.
He insisted that John Rahm was going to beat Justin Thomas, which I refused and argued with vehemently. So the stakes went all the way to the point where the loser, which I'm up by 5 strokes after one round, the loser has to do a podcast shirtless. How painful is that?
Yeah, that would be tough. I'm glad you don't make your guests do that.
We would never do that to you. We would never do it, but we will definitely. I don't want to give Justin Thomas the heebie-jeebies here. It's a long way to go, but I told Andrew. I sent him a text earlier with about 10 different things with people taking their shirts off, ripping their shirts off. I said he better start doing some sit-ups and a couple bench presses there if he's going to be sporting the chest hair on one of the pods. So how are you dealing with that, buddy?
I'm just glad it's golf and we're only 25% of the way in. We only 1 round out of 4. Rahm started out birdie this morning or this afternoon, and then just sort of, you know, pretty steady in. You know, had a lot of nice putts that just missed the edge of the cup. So there's still plenty of time. You know, I'm not thrilled about where I stand, but we got time.
I'm loving it, man. I'll be sweating. I was saying on the show too. I mean, I'm in like the $100 single entry on there. I think I'll sweat more the Thomas over Rahm than my $100 right. Single entry play. No, that's crazy. So it'll be fun. But other than that, my team was very solid up and down, and across the board, even with some of my Graham McDowell, who was my sleeper pick on our pod on Wednesday, everybody, chipped in. So I'm happy, got through day one. And I think there's an advantage. I know there is. And we talked about this, about playing in the morning here because the temperatures are just ludicrous right now. It's almost 100 degrees. But if you get that early tee time, like some of my guys now that played this afternoon get to play in the morning, you lose about 15 degrees off of that heat. And I think that's a big help. So I'm really fired up for tomorrow. And how about the fact that here at Coach Talk, we get to watch our KBO and right into golf. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Beautiful. It's what we've been missing for 3 months, and now we get it back, and around the clock sports. It's paradise.
Coming. Yeah. Somebody's got to help me figure out the sleep factor in all this, but that's a whole nother story. So tell me a little bit, Patrick, about the start for your guys. Who are your key PGA couple of guys?
Yeah, so I did listen to the podcast.
So you knew the bet. Okay.
I used a few of those guys, and then the one other guy I threw in there was Webb Simpson. So I didn't catch how he did today, but
I think he struggled a little bit, unfortunately, which is a little bit surprising. He's been so consistent. Whenever he shows up, he's usually in contention. But I saw him hitting it around on one of the holes, kind of rough to rough. So not his best start, but again, there's plenty of time.
Yep. Yep. Anybody else? Who's your big money guy?
Well, I started with Simpson, so.
Oh, okay. You went just mid price dudes. That's a good way to go.
Although I do think I have Thomas as well. I think I did go with Thomas as well. So
I see the good mojo, the Thomas guys over the Rom guys. That's what I want to hear. But your strategy it sounds perfect. We talked right before we got on air. There was a tournament on DraftKings where you finished third and Andrew was fourth. So I mean, I just love the fact that our members take a look at our suggestions, our player pools, our lineups on FanDuel. And what I would do is the same thing. I would take the advice because we're busting at it hours and hours a day, but then pivot a couple of pivots with guys that you like or a few picks that we didn't put in there. I mean, that's a great way to play it and a good way to have success. And I've seen that happen a lot where people will jump on the same lineup and ride it out with us and a lot of wins that way. But also I've seen some big takedowns with one or two guy pivots. So that's a good strategy for all of the sports that we do. How about you, Andrew? How's your golf looking other than Rom?
Yeah, solid. I put a couple with Rom and Koepka, and they were both 2 under. One thing I like to do in golf is look at the groupings, and sometimes I'll pair up a couple guys who are playing together and hope that they've kind of got the good vibes going together. I meant to mention that yesterday because one of the most, standout threesomes was JT and Spieth and Fowler. Those guys are all close friends. They play in the par 3 tournament at the Masters together, and when you're playing with your friends on a stage like this, it can really help and give you an edge. And so I built some lineups with Rom and Koepka. And I'm excited here. It was 2 under, but they didn't play their best. So hoping for a big round 2.
Did you see the mustache that?
Oh my gosh!
It's like a big, thick Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
And Fowler's was like Fu Manchu. Those guys were obviously bored during the shutdown.
I know it. But you mentioned your value play, coach, and my second one was Harmon. So really glad that he went to 5 under, a great start. Like you said, he played in the morning, so he just got it done. And Ryan Palmer started out 3 under. He was the other value play, and then he kind of struggled down the stretch. He's 2 over, but hopefully he'll rebound tomorrow and make the cut.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's just so great to have sports back. I mean, it's just craziness. It's only going to get better and better, that's for sure. All right, so that we covered those things. We got to get into KBO because that's where the money is tonight. Let me click on my stuff here. Give you a quick rundown of sort of what we're looking at today. From a schedule standpoint, we have Kia at the SK Wyverns, my favorite nickname of in the KBO of a team. Kia 17-16, and the Wyverns are 11-21. Drew Gagnon versus Jong-Hoon Park. Then we have KTW at Samsung. KT Wiz are 12-20. Samsung 15-18. Despaigne, a guy we played a lot this year, going against Seong-Min Lee. And then we've got the Lotte Giants against the LG Twins. Couple of U.S. pitchers going at it. Dan Straley for Lotte and Tyler Wilson for LG. Doosan, Andrew Hansen's part ownership of that squad. The Doosan Bears playing the Hanwha Eagles. Woon Ju Cha, for Doosan. Chad Bell, the lefty for Hanwha, at a wonderful 7-26. Doosan coming in at 20-12. And Hanwha has lost 15 in a row.
17 now.
17 in a row.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay. Beautiful. So that is interesting. Go to my bookie and put money on Doosan. That's for sure. And then you've got the Kiwoom Heroes 18-15 at the NC Dinos, a sharp 25-7. Seung Ho Lee against Chang Mo Koo. And you got to love Mr. Koo, the lefty, has been dealing. How about a 0.66, a 5-0 record? Sounds like a guy that you just can't pass on today, especially in this matchup and a home game. You got to love it. Okay, so that's what we've got there. We do have slight chance of rain. I mentioned it in the Discord, but it has dissipated. Patrick was checking it out for us too and mentioned it pre-show that it looks like a lot of that is passed, but it's still posting at 27% chance in KTW Samsung, and then even less 15-ish kind of chance in Doosan Hanwha and Kiwoom and Dinos. I don't believe that will create any issues on the card, but I will be, following it closely before lock, and I will be in there 5 a.m. Eastern to confirm lineups and to confirm that the weather's good. The only thing that would, for me, I don't believe there's any rain out possibilities, but if the rain does chances increase and there's a stoppage in play, I'd really try to fade the starting pitchers in a game like that, because inevitably they'll pitch 3 innings, have a 30-minute rain delay, and then they don't return. So you got to avoid that as much as you can. So hopefully that's not an issue, but we got to lay it out there just in case. Again, a big part of being part of DFS Coach Talk is that we're in there and we're going to make sure that you don't take a zero on anybody, and that you're not going to be, playing guys that are in rain out games or even delays. So that's where we stand there. So I guess, one more thing I would like to do before I let you two guys do all the hard work here, I get to just set the table and do the fun stuff. I am going to mybookie.ag right now. And I put in a few KBO bets yesterday and did well. So that was really fun. I am going to give you the live to the second KBO odds if I can find them. I normally have them called up, but I like them to be fresh. Okay, there's the Major League Baseball. Here we go. South Korea, it's under. That's weird. That's okay, though. It's the same thing. So here we go. 5 games tonight. We have a humongous NC Dinos, 333 favorite, but they deserve to be. They're even minus 156 on the run line. So that's a pretty big number. You've got SK is a home dog. Kia's 169 favorite at SK. Big favorite for the KT Wiz, minus 222 on the road against the Samsung Lions. Bigger line than you'd expect. And you've got LG is minus 163 against the Giants. Pretty good favorite there. And then another big fat favorite, Doosan, 270 favorite, even 151, minus 151 on the run line. So definitely very interesting. The reason I didn't mention the over-unders, because I'll bulk them together for you. You've got 3 of them that are 10.5. That's the Dinos game, the Lions game, and the Eagles game. So you got 3 games with a very big over-under, and those are games definitely we want to highlight. I certainly utilize those games in building some teams hitting-wise. And then the other 2 games, the Kia and the Loti game, are both 8.5. So you got a full 2-run difference with the 3 high games and the 2 lower games. Certainly something to look at also, when you're building your pitcher and finishing out those lineups. So that's it, guys. That's what we got from the wagering side and from the weather and the records and what everything stands. So let me do this. The first game on the board is Kia at SK. And Andrew, why don't you jump in and, go with that game a little bit. And then Patrick, please follow in with anybody sticks out for you in that game, or even anybody that you want to fade.
All right, well, let's start talking about these pitchers. And you mentioned Koo at the end. I realized before the show started that this is probably going to be a Koo and Drew night for me, Coach and Patrick. Starting with Drew Gagnon here for Kia, going up against this terrible SK team, 10 games under 500. Really nice price on DraftKings. He's been underpriced over there. They've slowly raised the price up to 7,400. He's much more expensive on FanDuel comparatively, but I like him here in this matchup. Really good strikeout guy. 40 strikeouts in only 33 innings. Yep. That's one of the best ratios in the league. So he's going to be a cornerstone for me on the hill. And then I do like a lot of these Kia bats. All right, so it is a low over-under, like you mentioned, Coach, and they're facing a guy who's priced at 8,000, a righty with an ERA of 3.44, Park. But these guys have good success. The big Kia bats fared well against him last year. Cha, who was scratched last night and was the guy who we had to scramble to replace, he had a double against him one game, then 2 for 3 with a homer. Tucker was good against him. Last game, he was 2 for 2 with a double and a walk. And then the cheaper first baseman, was 2 for 2 with a double against him. So those 3 lefty bats are really attractive to me, and Kia is going to be one of my primary stacks. So in this game, even though it's a low over-under, I'm going to have several Kia bats and the Kia pitcher, Drew Gagnon.
Strong, very strong. Patrick, you want to chime in? Anybody stick out to you in this game?
Yeah, I'm right on board with what Andrew was saying on Gagnon for sure. It doesn't take a great pitcher to do well against SK, and Gagnon's done some good things this year, so I like him there for sure, being one of my pitchers. And I would tend to focus on the lefties, the lefty bats for Kia, Tucker and Cha.
Yep. Look at this. We have everybody in America pronouncing Choi the way it's supposed to be in Korean, Cha. So there, you're the best, Patrick, man. You're the guy, like, why we do this, right, Andrew?
I was just going to say, this is really exciting to have, Patrick on as a member who is following the KBO with us, and it's just a lot of fun. It's like a whole new world was open to all of us, and now we're kind of getting to share it together and enjoy it together.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
There's no way I'd be playing KBO if I wasn't a member of DFS Coach Talk. So I've learned a lot.
Excellent.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not going to have much, to add to this other than the obvious. I mean, the first thing I told Andrew is I am so loving this slate tonight. I mean, I absolutely love my build, and I don't play many GPPs. I play more cash, so I don't make multiple lineups, usually 2 or 3 at the very most. But tonight I'm rolling with 2 pitchers that I absolutely love. And, I know I'm giving this out, to everybody, but I'm telling you, Gagnon is terrific. I think SK is terrible hitting the baseball. He's also only 2 and 3, excuse me, but he's had some bad luck. I mean, he's got 40 strikeouts and only 7 walks. He's only given up 1 home run. So, I mean, the guy he keeps the ball in the park, less than 1 hit per inning. Just a terrific pitcher and a perfect matchup. He's 100% owned for me. As far as the batters, I'm not going to stack Kia. I think they're going to be a very popular stack. So I want to be slightly contrarian there. I agree with you guys. Tucker and Cha are probably the 2 top guys, the 2-3 hitters that are lefties. And I do also like the first baseman, also a lefty, batting 5th, against the righty Chang-Hoon Park, who has definitely struggled with lefties. So I'm with you guys. It's Gagnon or bust. And, for me, I'm just going to go a 1 or 2 off Kia players. Andrew's going to stack. And then Patrick gets to choose between. So there we go. All right, Andrew, second game, KTW, Samsung, Despaigne versus Lee. What do you think?
Yeah, Despaigne would be in my player pool. If you're going to make multiple lineups, I think you should consider him. Solid strikeout guy, not like Gagnon, but a solid strikeout guy. Had a good outing against Samsung earlier this year, six innings, 1 earned run. And the interesting thing is Samsung's lineup's been changing a lot in terms of injuries and different things. And so although he faced them earlier this year, a lot of their key guys didn't face him. So that means that they have not faced him. So I like that edge. And then the KT bats are interesting as well because the starting pitcher for Samsung tonight is a 19-year-old rookie making his first appearance. So I haven't seen him pitch, but not expecting too much. He was a fourth round pick. His salary is only 23,000. So I've got some interest in these KT bats, especially the ones who have been strong against lefties. And I looked at the splits. Mel Rojas this year is 16 for 33 with 5 homers and 14 RBIs against lefties.
Oh,
so
goodness.
I mean, you gotta. He's expensive, but I think you got to find a way to get him in your lineup. And then S. Jang, a catcher, who is a guy we play a lot, even though he bats 6, 7, 8 sometimes, as many of the catchers do in the KBO. But he's 333 against lefties. And then Jay Bay, an outfielder, sometimes he bats first or second, sometimes he bats ninth. So we got to wait and see. If he's at the top of the order, he's batting 444 against lefties with a home run. So he's in the player pool. And then you got to mention Baek-ho Kang, the lefty slugger first baseman. Even though he's a lefty, he's been solid against lefties. Small sample size this year, but he's batting 357 with 1 homer. And I just got to mention he was the key to that lineup for me last night that finished way up there in the standings. I finished 12th in the big tournament on DraftKings. I stacked Kang and Rojas and Jang, and they all hit home runs, and had Tucker on the other side. So I'm not going to stack them as much as I did last night, but probably in that order. I like Rojas and then Jang for some savings as a catcher, and then Baek-ho Kang will get in there in a couple lineups for me.
Fantastic. And, I forgot at the beginning to mention the fact that we kicked butt and took names last night. You want to touch a little bit on that? Because I know we both had some really terrific nights for the whole Coach Talk family.
Yeah, well, the thing was we ended up building a bunch of lineups with the 2 value pitchers. We liked 4 pitchers, 2 of the expensive ones, 2 of the cheaper ones. And when you and I were talking, you kind of encouraged me, and I kind of ran with the idea of going with those 2 cheaper pitchers and stacking up some big bats. And we had to shift a little bit in the middle of the night because we got the news that H. Cha was scratched for Kia. But shuffling some things around, it just really worked out. It was a great night. I had a bunch of lineups in the top 100, and I know you really crushed it over on FanDuel. So a lot of fun. The hard work is paying off.
It is. And I really still think, too, making those changes right before lock is so key because, it's hard for people to be up at that hour to make changes. It's oversleep or you forget or whatever. And, 1-0 can kill you in a lineup for sure. So, yeah, it was a terrific night. I was top 10% in most of my stuff. Certainly easy winners in my 50-50s and my heads up games. So it was a fun night. It's the kind of, we've been trying to build a good bankroll with KBO and now PGA so that, when hoops gets back and the other sports, we're going to have a nice fat bankroll to run with. So, all right, Patrick, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this KTW Samsung game?
Yeah, so I wasn't planning to play many of these guys, just seeing some of the weather concerns that we were seeing earlier. I suppose if the weather clears up, I can see if I can maybe get up to Rojas. That's really the main piece that I would look to get from this game.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, Rojas has been tough as heck, but he is very expensive. The guy here for me that stuck out is Kang. I know, he did well for us last night, and it's easy to go right back to a guy, but I think he's in a groove. He does hit lefties, and I think he'll be lower owned than normal because it is lefty against lefty. He's my one-off that I really like from KTW. But, even though the run line is high here, this is not, a game that I'm going to stack much at all. I completely respect Despaigne. I've used him a lot this year. I'm fading him tonight. I think he'll have pretty good ownership, but, I'm certainly not going to stack any guys against him either. And so, this is not because of the rain, just in general. a game that I'm going to be pretty light on, with maybe just a whiz player, one or two in there in a lineup or two. All right, fellas, let's keep this train moving. The money train on the tracks for the third game. The American matchup, Australian Wilson, Low T Giants, LG Twins. Patrick, why don't we start with you this time? Do you have anybody you want to throw out there in the mix? Are you looking at either of those pitchers?
Yeah, so I like both of the pitchers in this game. Probably like Australia a little bit more than Wilson, but I could see potentially using either one of them. And yeah, I just think they're in really good spots.
So not hitters. This is a pitching, you think a good pitching dual game. It is one of the two low, over-unders, so you got to respect that.
Absolutely, yeah, mostly pitchers for me from this game.
Okay. Mr. Andrew, shed some light on this game.
Yeah, same thing. I think it's a great pitcher's duel. So because I like some of these other pitchers just a tad bit better, because these are decent hitting lineups, especially LG with the lefty bats. I probably won't get to any of these hitters, and I probably won't use either pitcher. And to Patrick's point, I think Straley's been a little bit more consistent. He's had better success with the strikeouts this year. Although I did notice that Tyler Wilson last year had 3 for 3 good outings against Lotte. Jay Gion hit a homer against him in the last one, but Daeho Lee didn't do too much. He was okay. So they just he's kind of has their number. So I wouldn't be opposed to playing Tyler Wilson. I would probably rather play him than Straley, just because we really like these lefty bats for LG at the top of the lineup. But in general, I'm mostly going to pass this game.
Yeah, this game it's an interesting game. I mean, it does have a low over-under, so that certainly comes into play. I like Dan Straley. He almost was going to sneak in there. He's my third or fourth guy from the mound tonight, but he won't make my lineup. But I like him. I'm not sold on Tyler Wilson though. I know everybody's backed him quite a bit. LG does have 20 wins. They're a good team. I just don't, I don't see the movement on his pitches. I think the last game I watched that it was on, Eduardo Perez had made a mention and said that, he thought Wilson's pitches were a little flat. They didn't have a lot of bite to them or which if you have a fastball like he does, that's in the, up mid to upper 80s is all, and it's not tailing or make any movement to it. It creates, can create a situation where you get bombed. So for me, I'm looking, again, I'm not big on this game whatsoever. I am not playing any of the LG big bats, and we play those guys like crazy. I'm always playing, H. Kim and even C. Lee and Ramos is one of our best, and, Min Sung Kim, but I'm staying clear of them because I respect Straley. And from the low T hitters, I do like Asiop Son, the number 2 hitter. And you had mentioned Junwoo Jeon has gone deep on him before. I think he's been playing better and his price is very fair. So those are sort of my 2 one-offs, but not a game I'm going to focus on either. So that's where we stand there. We go to game 4. The Doosan Bears versus the Hanwha Eagles. Wonderful 7.85 ERA for the relief pitcher turned spot starter from Doosan, and Mr. Chad Bell with a nice clean 9.0 ERA for Hanwha. What do you think, Andrew?
Well, it's hard to say it, but I think I'm going to shy away from the Doosan bats today.
Oh my God, they're going to score 25 runs. If you're fading them, it has to be a double whammy, double secret probation jinx that Doosan hits like 7 homers tonight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just rough because Chad Bell, he's been struggling this year, but last year he basically owned Doosan. He had 2 gems against them, 8 innings, no earned runs in both of those starts. And then in the last time he faced him, 5 1/3, he gave up 4 earned runs. But the only guy who got him at all was J.O. hit 1 home run against him. Fernandez and Kim didn't do anything. And those 2, 3, 4 guys, if they're not doing anything, then the prospects for the rest of the group are pretty low, because some of the other bats that we like in this lineup, like Jay Cha and the catcher, are lefties as well. So I'm just going to shy away from that matchup. And you mentioned the spot starter for Doosan. Looked at his starts last year. He never got out of the 5th inning, and his pitch counts were 74, 85, and 59. So I think we'll get to the bullpen probably pretty early. He is 4,000, which is really interesting. How low that price is. You could really, if you want to go for a gamble in a GPP, you could pitch him, because he's facing Hanwha, and they've lost 17 in a row. They don't have good hitters right now. So it's worth a thought, but I'm not going to go with any Hanwha bats. So I may just fade all the hitters in this game.
Very interesting. What do you think, Patrick? Shed some light on this game, because I have a little bit different take than Andrew.
I'm actually really aligned with Andrew here. I've been fading Doosan for a while, and
wow,
we've got this string of left-handed hitters against a lefty pitcher, so I don't feel great about that either, and I don't feel great about any of the Hanwha bats. So,
you know what? You guys are on the same page. This is where I'm probably going to be the most contrarian. Hopefully this, it's going to be a boomer bust move, but I sort of like, and I'm embarrassed to say this live on the air, but I like playing a couple of bats from the stinking 0-17 losing streak Hanwha Eagles. I know it's terrible.
Wow.
Sometimes you have
coming
to have
from a cash
stuff.
game player. This is fascinating.
It is a major contrarian move, and it will only be a one-off on FanDuel and 2 guys on DraftKings. So it's, but I think this relief pitcher is terrible. I think they'll go to the bullpen, have some middle relief guys. And I know Hanwha's terrible, but to me, you've got those lefties at the top of the lineup. A few of them can hit. I like Jin Ho Jung, the second number 2 hitter. And I know this pains me to say, but I think Jared Hoying could ding one out or have a decent game. I think I said for Andrew to punch me in the face next time I tried to put Hoying in my lineup. So I just got that gut feeling that, I think Doosan, I think all 3 of us fading Doosan is interesting, because I think they'll be the second or third biggest stacked team. So there's some, difference from some of the people out there. But, I think Jung or Lee or Hoying, I like that the middle of that lineup to maybe get a couple hits off some really subpar pitchers. And, you got to look at respect the fact that Vegas has them at 10.5 over under. So it's, they're expecting both teams to score some runs. So there you go. You can't say that I'm a eat chalk every night. If anybody that says, well, give us something other than the chalk, there you go. Complete faded Doosan and rostering a couple of guys from the 17 in a row loss Hanwha Eagles. So hello, coach. There's a set for you. I hope they do okay. But this would be one I'd like to take the snippet out and replay it tomorrow, or else I erase this podcast.
Yeah, I will say Doosan's bullpen is really bad. And think about it. If they nominated this reliever to be the spot starter, and his ERA is over 7, their team ERA is in the same region. It's been over 7 for a while here. So you can't really get a better matchup for a guy like Hoying, a lefty slugger. And I will say, I saw him the other day, and you could see how frustrated he was. And it's got to be partially all the losing, partially the fact that his batting average is low, but he was yelling at the umpire, and you could just tell he was out of sorts. And so maybe he'll just take out all of his aggression on the baseball and hit one out of the yard.
Man, you always have my back, no matter who I pick. That's why I love you, Andrew. You're the man. But yeah, you took the thought right out of my brain as I was going to say it. Doosan's bullpen stinks, and that's something that people don't realize. They're 20-12. They're well respected. the Bears and the Dinos are the two by far most popular teams, at least because they're getting on ESPN the most. But, what people don't realize about Doosan, they're doing that with some really stellar starters, but the bullpen has not done their part at all. In fact, when they're in close games, or it's, I remember the game against the Dinos earlier this week, or whenever it was like 5-5 or something, and their bullpen just got murdered. So again, how do you have a lot of confidence in a team that's hitting that poorly? You certainly don't, but one or two guys to fill in a lineup that can do some damage against really 9 innings of bad bullpen is what I see from Doosan. So I will not bet Hanwha on my bookie. I do not have that many stones, but yes, that's where I feel there. So, all right, last game, and our special guest, Mr. Patrick, gets to dive into this since he is the guru of all these sim contests and crushing everybody in our all the members' hearts and just rolling over everybody. So we're gonna let you go first here in what I think is the highlight game of the night for me anyway, is Kiwoom Heroes at the NC Dinos. What do you think, Patrick?
Well, I guess I have to start with the pitcher, Koo, for the NC Dinos. He's just been incredible all season. Just one elite performance after another. Probably the biggest issue with him so far has been that the team can take him out early when the team gets up, and so he doesn't have to pitch as many innings and doesn't have as many opportunities to get strikeouts. So I'm actually strongly considering a fade here of Koo today, though.
Wow, gutsy. He'll be the highest owned pitcher, I think.
Agreed, and I just feel like this could be a letdown spot for him. I always get a little nervous when we see the lines creep up as high as they have for this game, and I feel like the Kiwoom lineup is one that has a chance to give him some trouble.
I love it, man. That's a great take. Contrarian, but certainly one that, Koo gets blasted. 70% of your competition gets hit right in the chops probably. But what about hitters then? Are you going to guts it up and take it one step further and roster some Kiwoom guys?
Well, I probably am going to try to roster some guys from both sides of this game with the salary savings I hope to get from fading Koo. I do like, Jung-Hoo Lee, even though he's a lefty, he seems to hit lefties pretty well.
He hits everybody.
So
yeah.
So I like him a lot. The catcher D Park for Kiwoom.
He mashes
pretty well. Yeah,
a lot of power there too.
So I'll have to see how the salaries work out, and but I am hoping to get a bunch of exposure to this game.
Fantastic, man. That's a great take, and one that may definitely be a hot take. I mean, I think if, for me, and I don't know if everybody does this, I think most people do, but like a Koo is going to be in my lineup for sure. And when I roster a pitcher, I never take any hitters against him. I don't want the negative, karma or whatever. So, but you're right. Kiwoom is one of the top stacked teams that Andrew and I have used all year with Jung-Hoo Lee. Obviously, he's my favorite player in the league. We've used Park a lot catching, and Byung-Ho Park. We've used all the guys. Seo Kim. I mean, we've gone 5-man stacks with those guys sometimes. So you're right. It is a tougher matchup for Koo. I just think he's the best pitcher in the league. And to me, when you get the best pitcher in the league at home with a good team, it's just hard to fade. One of those where, to me, I feel on this one, you got to eat the chalk. But again, it really would be a strong contrarian move especially if you have a couple bats that do ding them, then you sort of get a double lift. But all right, Andrew, what do you think, man?
Well, I just want to say I really love that take, Patrick. I appreciate that. It just puts a smile on my face because it's the type of mentality you have to have as a GPP player. I mean, you have to break down the slate and analyze the chalk and then decide, sometimes you might want to fade it. I mean, it's just like Coach said. I mean, there's a lot to love about Koo. You know, he's an absolute ace, but you got to figure he's going to have a letdown at some point. He's probably not going to go undefeated. And so you pick your spots. And, you know, these Kiwoom bats are terrific options if you're ever going to hope for Koo to falter. It's a great set of, 1 through 6 hitters to look at. So I just really like the mentality. I'll switch to the hitters. I am looking at some dinos here against a lefty with a really poor ERA. Bad outing against the dinos earlier. He kept them in the yard, but Sungbum Na had 2 doubles against him. Yang didn't play. So I'm hoping that Yang goes a little bit under-owned because he's over 6,000 now on DraftKings. It's 6,100. So, you know, I've been sort of I haven't played him as much as Coach, but I may go back on him tonight here against this poor lefty with a high price tag and get a little bit different there. Hopefully he's not as highly owned as usual. And then Aaron Altair has destroyed lefties this year. That's where he's really done his damage. So I'll take a look at him, even though he's towards the bottom of the order.
Excellent. For me, it's stack mania here. I've got as of right now, I have 4 NC Dinos. I think they're just a lock and load stack. You've got, a lousy pitcher. It's a home game. They're all hitting the ball well. This just looks like a 10 to 12, 14 run game for the Dinos in my book. So the guys that are making all my lineups, again, I'm cash player. So, it's harder for me to fade a guy like Koo because I don't want to play catch up, in those head-to-heads and such. So I'm going with Koo, but my hitters, I love Sungbum Na's been awesome all year. Yang's my catcher in every lineup. Again, I agree with what Andrew said. At that price, he will be probably lower owned than D Park. I mean, I won't. I will take that back. He probably will be lower just because of Koo, but people aren't going to want to spend the money, and Park will get some ownership as well. I love Kang, the first baseman. I like Sukmin Park, but I love Altair. He's in all my lineups. Yang's in all my lineups. Na's in all my lineups. So I think the Dinos go off tonight. They've done that multiple times this year. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the league. And I just love them in this matchup against a junk ball throwing lefty. And again, Kiwoom's bullpen is nothing to write home about. So for me, this will be obviously the key game of the night. I'll have my top pitcher and basically a 4-man Dino stack.
Excellent.
All right. Okay, that is the entire group of games. Anything we left out or anything else you want to add, Patrick?
Nope, I think we covered it.
Excellent. Andrew, you have any other additions to anything we may have forgotten?
No, I agree with Patrick. I think we've covered it. So before you close up, Coach, I just want to thank you, Patrick, for coming on. It was a lot of fun, to get to meet you here on the show as a member that we've known through our Discord and chatted with and competed with and against with our fun, group contests. So, just thanks a lot for coming on. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun playing in these sim contests and staying engaged with everybody and trying to pass the time here until we do get all those sports finally back to the way they usually are.
Absolutely. And I also want to thank you, Patrick, and this group that we have that we call them our foundational members. We only were live for 3 weeks, one at 75%, and grabbed some really great members that have ridden out this whole entire, COVID thing with us. We've done everything we can to keep the content going. And it's just been so much fun with the sim contest. And, this group of foundational members will always have a special place for us. We're going to have special contests for that group. We're going to have a separate chat room where they'll get some additional picks and tickets and things like that. One thing we never forget here is, where we started. And, Andrew and I talk about it all the time is, if it wasn't for this group, not just jumping in initially, but sticking through all of this with us, who knows if we'd be here. So really thanks you to Patrick and all your comrades there, the Brentons and Jasons and Lanny's and, Richard and on. I mean, I know I'm going to forget some people, so I won't even try to complete the list, but just a great group of guys, you being one of them. Hopefully you won't crush us in this contest 5 here. We've got some more good prizes in there. But if you want to jump in, and get in these sims, maybe Patrick will share some of his secrets. If you jump in, maybe that'll be a new member thing. You get to connect with Mr. J. Marax. Should we ask you what that means? Because we both were looking for somebody with a J name, and then it's Patrick. How does Patrick fit in with J. Marax or whatever?
Oh, there's actually no correlation at all. It's just that J. Marax is just something I've used for a while, and it's just kind of an online presence thing. Doesn't have any meaning.
It's his DFS alter ego. He just becomes somebody else when he's in DFS mode.
He's got a cape, a J. Marax cape or something that he flies around with. But so anyway, if you want to join, just go to DFSCoachTalk.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. I am at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic. We know Mr. at J. Marax is going to always be floating around all kinds of stuff. So look us up there. We're always updating, posting things, contests, polls, you name it. We're throwing it up there and having a lot of fun with it. We also want to always mention our favorite charity, which is mambaon3.org. It's all spelled out, MAMBAONTHREE.org. Wonderful charity that was set up by Vanessa Bryant, from that tragedy, obviously in LA. So we never forget those guys. Also our sponsors, another big shout out to MyBookie. They're awesome. MyBookie.ag for everything you need betting wise and casino wise. And of course our horse partners, TVG, some great races coming this weekend and a great $300 no risk bet. So you definitely want to jump on there as well. So that is it. It's been a blast. It was great having you, Patrick. Hopefully you repeat as champion and we get you back on here. It's this contest runs until the 4th of July. So there you go. Maybe the 5th of July, we will have J. Marax 2, the podcast follow-up. You never know. So awesome, guys. Want to again thank Andrew and Patrick. Let's make some more money in KBO and keep it crushing. So, thank you for joining, and we will again be back tomorrow as we look to crush it in DFS.